What is up, everybody? We are getting right back into Reaktor and looking at Reaktor blocks and looking at all the various options that they have in the TOYBOX NANO PACK library and all the various oscillators and the various options they have in the oscillators folder of that library. Last time we looked at the multi oscillator. This time we're going to look at a different kind. You click into the Reaktor environment, hit enter on your keyboard, and just type in nano oscillator. And this time we're going to look at not the regular oscillator, because that one we've actually had in all the previous videos as well in this series. So that we checked out. That was the very first one we checked out. And now we're going to go below this into the menu and start looking at the phase distortion oscillator. So in the phase distortion oscillator, we just have one main output. And so all we need is one main scope. We're just going to take the multi-oscillator, the multi-scope, and the multi-mixer and lose that. And then we're going to go ahead and patch the scope together. You can see that this already has a waveform coming out of it. It looks like it has a selector for all kinds of different types of sounds. And it looks like we have some options here for wave folding and some various options. So this is already looking pretty cool. The phase distortion oscillator is a phase distortion style oscillator using wavetables from a vintage keyboard. I love wavetables. If you look up wavetable synthesis, it you know, has a pretty unique and cool history. It's basically, you know, creating oscillators out of different kinds of waveforms that aren't really achievable using basic shapes, using basic sine or pulse or square or triangle or sawtooth shapes. It's sort of mixtures of all these things in between. And if you've seen the scopes of some of the previous episodes, that's really what multi-wave kind of oscillators, when mixed together, that's sort of an effect that it has. It's sort of a wave table, sort of a wave folded sort of a sound, because you're really manipulating the waveform in impossible or improbable ways. So anyway, without talking too much, we're going to go ahead and patch in the pitch cable from the MIDI input. We'll go ahead and pull down the original oscillator sound, and we'll patch the oscillator volume, the audio output into the VCA. And now we're hearing some sound since the VCA is already connected to the filter, already connected to the scope post filter, so you can see when the audio passes through the filter, it's already got. Now the reset resets the phase of the oscillator. I'm just going to patch the gate into this and see if this helps with that popping noise a bit. Not really, but that popping noise is just coming from the very tight envelope control that I had on that particular envelope. So that's fine. Now that I pull that back a little bit, I don't like pops at the beginning and end of the sound. I'm not really a fan of that. That might work for some things, but I'm just not too big a fan. I just want to hear the music. I just want to hear the notes, you know? So now we can flip between the various waveforms in here. I'm going to go ahead and pull down the resonance mostly. Open up the filter completely. And we can see, looking at the scope, some of these options coming out of here are really wild. Really wild. So with this wild one selected, if we hit this position knob, what does that do? That really has some nice and interesting sounds, and that's what I'm talking about when you really get into doing weird things with the waveform. It starts to really sound sweet. So now if we take this and blend the original oscillators back into it. Oh man, those are sounding really cool. And obviously there's tons of different options in here. They can be modulated. So if we just grab one of these modulation shapes and say sweep broadly through the position, I'm willing to bet that would sound pretty sweet. Then what if we take this and plug this into the filter? I mean, that's what's cool, is that the oscillator actually gives you a little bit of a visual indication of what the shape is doing, and you can actually drag in this shape area to change the shape of this as you want. So that does have control over that as well, but it's already being manipulated here by oh man, really cool stuff. The phase distortion oscillator in Reaktor blocks, TOYBOX NANO PACK. Upward and onward. Until next time.